Welcome back to Inkkery! It's time for another Set 9 deck profile, and this is a special one. It's Ruby Steel, featuring my absolute favourite new card to Fabled, Powerline, world's greatest rockstar. As soon as this card was revealed, I was excited to try him out in Ruby Steel. Singing a Beyond the Horizon off the top 4 cards of the deck for free seemed amazing to me. And wow, after plenty of testing with this deck, I was right. This deck is extremely powerful and seems to synergize together perfectly. But before we get started, a quick reminder to like the video if you enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you've not already for more deck videos just like this one. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers now, and to celebrate that milestone, I'll be doing a giveaway for a Fabled Trove once the set's released. So if you'd like a chance to win that trove, make sure to subscribe, and details on how to enter will drop soon. So let's jump into it, and I'll start by explaining the core idea behind the list. Being a Powerline Singer deck, of course, we have all 12 new Powerline cards in the deck. This is to make the shift of world's greatest rockstar as likely as possible, and once he's down on the board, and whenever we sing a song with him, we look at the top 4 cards of the deck and play a song with 9 cost or less for free. And there's 20 songs in the deck, making these top 4 cards very likely to have a song in them, around an 80% chance to see a song, depending on cards already used in the match and mulligans and other variables like that. So we've now sang 2 songs with Powerline in one turn. It could be removal like Strength of a Raging Fire, or a combination of a Pirate's Life and some tech like When Will My Life Begin? Or it could be a Beyond the Horizon, refreshing our depleted hand as well as offering some potential hand disruption to the opponent. Either way, lots of songs will be entering our discard, and then we can use Maui Half Shark to retrieve them later in the game to continue our barrage of songs, controlling the board and maintaining some card advantage. So that's the main idea, but there's so much more to the deck than meets the eye. Let's go back now and talk about the 1-drops and what else this deck can do. The 1-drops are Captain Hook and Mulan Disguised Soldier. Captain Hook's looking like a must include in all steel decks right now, so we can have some kind of early game counters to cards like Nala and other early aggressive starts. But also Hook's just great at trading up into most 2 and 3 cost characters. The other 1-drop's Mulan, who you won't be surprised to see. This deck by its very nature is often forced to mulligan aggressively, to look for Powerline shift lines, so Mulan is so important to filter our hand if we end up with too many songs or uninkables like Doc and Beyond the Horizon, and she's great at helping us find those all-important lines of play. Another fantastic bonus about having 4 copies of Mulan in a Ruby Steel deck is opponents often fear a Mulan shift on turn 5, as there's 2 fantastic Floodborn Mulan threats. We only have 2 copies of this one, Imperial General, in the deck, but the threat of an elite archer doing splash damage is still there, and having the Imperial General is also amazing, but I'll get into her later. Moving on to the 2 cost characters now, we have 4 different options in LeFou, Powerline, Roxanne and Doc. Now Doc and LeFou are definitely not intended for turn 2 plays, so we'll get into them in a second. Our main 2 cost characters are Powerline and Roxanne. Powerline taking the stage as our preferred turn 2, as it sets up the Powerline shift nicely, but also we can sing a song with him on turn 3, which activates 3 cost Powerline's rush ability. We can play Musical Superstar, sing a Strength of a Raging Fire with taking the stage to remove an opposing readied character, then use the rush to banish an exerted character as well, controlling early aggression perfectly, all while setting up hugely powerful shifts on turn 4. But we also have Roxanne if we miss taking the stage, who can quest for 2 if we follow her up with a singer later in the match. The 3 cost Max was in the deck for a good while, as he can allow Roxanne to quest for 2 and gain an extra strength. But I decided to cut Max for now, which does make this card less strong, but I still found her questing for 2 and applying some lore pressure quite a lot. I also tried Calhoun out in the deck for a little while, but quickly realised having Calhoun really damages our Powerline curve, as if we have 2 cost Powerline and Calhoun in our hand at the same time, we're almost forced to play Calhoun as she's uninkable, so making sure our other 2 cost character is inkable was really important. And Roxanne seemed to be the best fit for now, but there's plenty of other options like Mr. Smee, Milo Thatch, Queen of Hearts, Mr. Arrow and Lumiere, so I'll definitely be playing around with this part of the deck and seeing what works best. Right, on to Doc now, who's definitely an interesting one for the deck. I've currently got 3 copies of Doc and been playing around with this number a lot. At one point I had 4, and the other day I was testing with none, as honestly Beyond the Horizon does most of the legwork for us in terms of card draw, so Doc is just a backup if we end up in a bad spot of top deck mode. We of course have the Mulan failsafe if we end up with Beyond the Horizon and Dock in our hand at the same time, so the disadvantages of running both are compensated a little. I think Dock in the deck will come down to personal preference and how well you can manage your Beyond the Horizons. Some people won't need Dock in the deck at all, whereas I for one do still like to have him in there. If you do choose to run no copies of Dock, I'd recommend putting Max Goof into the deck, or boosting the copies of Pete or Ariel, who we'll get onto in a sec. The final 2-cost character we have is 2 copies of reprinted LeFou, who readies a character and then they can't quest for the rest of the turn. This is primarily in to ready the Floodborn Powerline, to either protect him or to allow him to sing another song. We can also do some really fun stuff with LeFou, like singing with Powerline, looking at the top 4 cards of our deck to sing another song for free, then challenge with Maui and get one of those songs back from the discard. Play LeFou and ready the Powerline to sing yet again. Unfortunately, you don't get to look at the top 4 cards again, as Powerline's ability is once per turn. But that doesn't mean we can't ready him with LeFou to keep singing, or if we sing nothing we won't do, to ready all our characters and cycle more songs with Maui and Powerline. But I'm getting carried away and off track. Let's get back to it and talk about the 3-cost characters in the deck. Starting with Ariel, Adventurous Collector. I've currently just got the 2 copies of Ariel, but this number can definitely be increased if facing lots of evasive decks. Ariel herself is evasive, but also whenever we sing a song, we can give one of our other characters evasive, like maybe Captain Hook or Namari, but my favourite use is to give World's Greatest Rockstar evasive when he sings a song, protecting him with the evasive to go again for at least one more turn. And Ariel has a 2-2 split with Pete, who's another character I'm unsure on the 2 copies of. Pete's so great at stalling out boards and guaranteeing our opponent can't sing removal on our 2-cost Powerline, which ensures we can get the shift off the turn later. So I definitely like Pete and Ariel to maybe be 3 copies of each, but I'm still unsure on what exactly to cut and it will require some more testing. For now though, this works great as we always prioritise Powerline on turn 3 anyway, to rush in with a song combo from Taking the Stage. Something I've really enjoyed doing is playing Musical Superstar, then singing I'm Still Here with Taking the Stage, giving 3-cost Powerline Rush and Resist 2 until the start of the next turn, allowing him to take out an opposing threat, take very little damage, and the Resist protects him for the opponent's next turn as well. Not to mention I'm Still Here replaces itself by drawing a card. This little combo can also be done with Strength of Raging Fire to take out 2 opposing characters on turn 3. Imagine this is the board state with an exerted Daisy Duck and an unexerted Nala in play. We have our 1-drop and Taking the Stage in play, and now it's our turn. We play Musical Superstar, sing Strength with our 2-cost Powerline on the Nala, banishing her. Powerline gains Rush and takes out the Daisy. And that's just a snippet of what the deck can do in the early game, and I just wanted to use that example as being able to beat those aggressive Amber Steel decks is going to be really important in the upcoming format. Let's move on now into the top end of the deck. There's no 4-cost characters in the deck, mostly because turn 4 we're looking to shift Powerline. If you did really want a 4-cost character here to fall back on, I'd probably recommend Raya, who could be great for readying Mauis and Powerlines when something goes into the Inkwell. But I like focusing on the World's Greatest Rockstar shift on turn 4, and if we do miss it, we can do plenty of other stuff like a Powerline and Roxanne, or a Pete and a 1-drop, or maybe even a Dock play. So let's talk about Namari now. We have 2 copies of Namari, and I really like her in this deck. So much ends up in our discard with all the songs we're singing, so Namari ends up having loads of strength. She also has a draw and discard ability on play, and at the start of each turn, which allows us to effectively search for cards we want to use in upcoming turns. We can also give her evasive with Ariel, and with all her strength she's able to one-shot locations like Rapunzel's Tower or the Library, which I think will be really popular this set. Maui next, a card I'm sure you're all familiar with by now, but I've honestly never used Maui in a deck he belongs in more than this one. With us singing so many songs as early as turn 3, we have lots of choices for Maui to retrieve from our discard, and he's gaining a lore every time a song is played. And with 4 copies of a Pirate's Life in the deck, there are turns we're singing Pirate's Life 2 times, or sometimes even 3 times in a single turn for huge lore swings. In a way, Maui's the main draw engine of the deck, as he can retrieve Beyond the Horizon from our discard for us to sing again with Powerline and give us 3 new cards. So I'm going to move on to Mulan Imperial General now, and come back to talk about Powerline later with all the songs. Mulan, as mentioned near the start of the video, is our Floodborn option to shift on our 1-drop Mulan. And there is of course 2 fantastic options to put in the deck, and I've tried both, but for now I think Imperial General fits better for us, for a couple of different reasons that I'll explain. Imperial General can sing beyond the horizon on her own, which can prove important at times. She's also evasive, all whilst having a better stat line than the Elite Archer, even though their shift cost is the same. Now, Elite Archer does have that incredible splash damage effect, and if you shift and then challenge with her, you can deal 5 damage to 3 characters on the board. But I found that to be a little too situational, and would much rather have the reliability of Imperial General's ability of when she challenges another character, all of our other characters can challenge ready characters that turn. This can be great for removing cards like Dapper Rascal or Rockstar Stitch that opponents don't want to exert, but also challenge cards opponents have just played, like a Clarabelle for example. But as I also mentioned earlier, our opponents don't know which Mulan shift threat there is, and it's very hard to be playing around either of them, and often the threat alone is enough to stop a quest or a challenge. So one of my big tips for the deck is never exert Disguised Soldiers, to keep that shift threat there even if it's not in your hand. Alright then, moving on to Powerline, World's Greatest Rockstar, who we've already talked about loads and what he can do in the deck. But I am aware this is a new card that some of you might not be familiar with. So let's talk about him in some more detail. Powerline is a 6-cost Inkable Floodborn character with a 6/4 stat line that quests for 2. He's a singer 9, so can sing every song in the deck for free. But he also shifts for just 4 ink onto one of our other Powerlines. And he has my new favourite ability in Lorcana, Mashup. Once per turn, when we sing a song with Powerline, we look at the top 4 cards of the deck and can reveal a song with cost 9 or less and play it for free, allowing us to do all the crazy stuff we've talked about in this video, like Beyond the Horizon and Pirate's Life in the same turn, or a Bee King Undisputed and a Strength of a Raging Fire for double removal, or our 1 copy of Nothing We Won't Do, readying all our characters and they take no damage from challenges that turn. We also have the before mentioned I'm Still Here and When Will My Life Begin, which the number of copies of either of these can be played around with. They both replace themselves by drawing a card. I'm Still Here gives a chosen character resist 2 until the start of the next turn, and When Will My Life Begin stops a chosen character from challenging next turn. Both unbelievable tools to protect our characters, but also really nice vanish actions for targeting Iagos and Cobras. So hopefully I've managed to convince you just how good the deck really is and how good this new Powerline can truly be. I can't wait to keep working on this deck over the coming weeks and would really love your help. So I've left the link to the dream board in the description of the video. So go ahead and make some changes, experiment and enjoy the deck. Leave your findings and suggestions in the comments for all to see and use, and together we can make Ruby Steel the deck to beat in this coming format. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider subscribing to Inkkery and liking the video. Also, keep an eye out on my socials for details for the Fabled Trove giveaway. Links to my Instagram, TikTok and X are all in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another video.